Mikä on vapaamuurari? Minä olen.
Thank you, brother, for that kind introduction. My name is Jared, and I am a Master Mason in the state of Mississippi in the United States of America. Today I want to read an article I wrote, but before I do, please permit me to remind you of just a few items. You can submit your own introduction video, just as you saw on this video. Visit my website, whatisamason.org, or look for the links in the video description. There, you can also choose to support this channel by purchasing high-quality Masonic pins and coins, all done by Edgar over at masonicrevival.com. The article I wish to read to you today is entitled, Being a Freemason. As always, everything in this video is not considered secret work in the state of Mississippi, and while it may not conform precisely to the rituals in your jurisdiction, I am confident you will find parallels. There are many, many facets regarding what it means to be a Freemason. Articles can touch on a particular topic or paint with a broad brush. Books delve deeper, still requiring individual searching and development. Encyclopedias attempt to capture it all, but cannot. Freemasons, like all things in nature, are complex. Generalities are made to Freemasons in obligations, lectures, and charges, but are not and cannot be all-encompassing. Themes are repeated or inculcated into Freemasons in hopes that the routine exposure to these concepts will ultimately persuade that man to actually do what is being said. One such repeated theme is simply to think before acting. Call it subduing your passions if you like, but it goes much further than that. You need not be passionate about a topic, but you could still be misinformed. Freemasons are meant to consider all perspectives equally, on the level, before ultimately deciding in what direction he, as an individual, will act. This is not always an easy process. To say, know thyself, is one thing, yet to be willing to truly look into that mirror and admit when your perspective was skewed, and to be willing to change that perspective, that is growth. And growth can elicit emotions ranging to the extremes, from fear to elation. Being able to do this is why, it can be argued, Freemasonry still exists. Being a Freemason does not grant you this ability. It is merely expected that you are seeking to obtain it, as our lectures and charges would suggest. Accordingly, not all Freemasons experience this ability. While Freemasonry has still survived, you can be assured that there have also been Freemasons inside of that other group who wields the ruthless hand of ignorance. These two groups are neither mutually inclusive or exclusive. Yet, a standard remains. No matter the diversity of opinion and passion in the craft by its individual members, obligations are expected to be honored. How can we accomplish this? When you pray to deity, do you really believe those words, or are you just going through the motions? Once upon a time, perhaps very recently, or perhaps many decades ago, a lodge of Freemasons prayed on your behalf before you were one yourself. Do you remember? They prayed that you would dedicate your life to the service of deity, that you would be a true and faithful brother, that you would be blessed not just with wisdom, but a competency of divine wisdom, that the pure principles of Freemasonry might influence you in such a way to display the beauties of godliness and honor deity itself. Wow. Have you? Are you actually letting this work inside of you? Does Psalm 133 mean something to you Do you feel it in your soul? Or do you remember the verses only because they are catchy? One way, perhaps the primary way, in which Freemasons are led to the how of dwelling together in unity can be found in these words, spoken to a new Master Mason. In the character of a Master Mason, you are authorized to correct the errors and irregularities of your uninformed brethren, and to guard them against a breach of fidelity. To preserve the reputation of the fraternity unsullied must be your constant care, and for this purpose it is your duty to practice morality, live harmoniously, and teach equality. This is not an option. It is a charge. It is an expectation of what it means to be a Freemason, particularly a Master Mason. We have a lot of levels of leadership in our fraternity, from lodge committees, in this case particularly the Complaints and Offenses Committee, to the Master of the Lodge, to the Grand Lodge committees with certain particular oversights, such as the Internet Committee for keeping an eye on social media, to the Grand Master, to whom we are all subordinate through our own election of him. Let me be clear. None of these are where solutions to disharmony are supposed to be found. All authority granted to these groups or individuals related to fixing a problem have been established over time due to two people not doing their due diligence. Those people are you and the brother who, by the simple authority of being a Master Mason, first had the opportunity to whisper that counsel. To continue, universal benevolence you are always to inculcate, and by the regularity of your own behavior afford the best example for the conduct of others less informed. This is not my opinion. This is what our own printed word clearly states. If you cannot work on your own behavior and be an example of moral and virtuous conduct, willing both to give correction and be corrected, you have no right to be a Freemason. It is not easy to correct your brother. Why? Because we all have failings. We concern ourselves with thoughts like, how can I tell him he should not do or say such things when I know I have failings myself? Rest assured, I do not write this article because I feel I have abolished all irregularities or errors in myself, but because I am willing to accept that I am frail, and admit that I am willing to accept that correction from my peers, my brethren. Being willing to be corrected first then opens your heart and bolsters your courage to remember that it is not a matter of being bossy or superior, but that you, as a Freemason, took certain obligations and were specifically charged, in turn of phrase, to be your brother's keeper. From a prayer said for your benefit before you were ever a Freemason, to the last words spoken during your Master Mason degree, this theme has been inculcated. Guarding the West Gate is not our largest concern. Instead, it is to guard one another, as brethren, ensuring the other does not fall, does not stray, but instead remains influenced by the pure principles of our craft. This is brotherly love, that pure principle which is both the first and last principle taught to all Freemasons. I trust you have not forgotten, but in accepting that inculcation is, in fact, an important instructional tool proven over millennia, please permit me to remind you. By the exercise of brotherly love, we are taught to regard the whole human species as one family, the high and low, the rich and poor, who, as created by one almighty parent, and inhabitants of the same planet, are to aid, support, and protect each other. On this principle, Freemasonry unites men of every country, sect, and opinion, and conciliates true friendship among those who might otherwise have remained at a perpetual distance. Be willing to always question the regularity of your own behavior. Be willing to reach out in love to correct a brother. Never forget that the temple you are building is within, and is meant to display the beauties of godliness to the honor of deity. Do these things, and Freemasonry, notwithstanding, will still survive. And when you are called to travel to that undiscovered country, your brethren can truly say, "We cherish his memory here."